Adventure Time, Fiona and Cake, Season 2, Episode 2, The Crocodile Who Bit a Log. This episode basically starts off with an anime-inspired montage with Huntress Wizard when she was a child, training under Spirit Dream Warrior, who's voiced by Matthew Broderick, which I find pretty cool. But it was also interesting to see this training montage get a little bit of Huntress Wizard's background, and we basically find out that she's been badass her whole life. I mean, she's going through this rigorous training montage, trying to get into the Green Wizard Guild, or at the very least, trying to get training from Spirit Dream Warrior to become stronger. And once she reaches a certain level, she finds this tooth, and Spirit Dream Warrior basically tells her that the tooth has to bite, so she kind of has to make a sacrifice. And without blinking an eye, she slices off her whole hand. And I said this in my last review, but I have to reiterate again. It's so crazy to me to not only see Adventure Time kind of grown up with me, but also to see the level of violence and gore that they're willing to and able to go. It's interesting to say the least, but also pretty damn cool. But after Huntress finishes her training, makes the sacrifice, she's taken to see the rest of the Green Wizards, and that tree, that bush, once again comes back into play, and she's able to give up her hand, show that she made the sacrifice, get accepted by the Green Wizards, but ultimately she wants to go on her own, which I kind of figured that would be the case. Huntress Wizard has always been the type of character, even in the original Adventure Time series, that has always come across as a character that's kind of a loner. That's another reason why her getting with Finn and being so close to Finn is not only so charming and cute and beautiful to see, but it's also nice character development, especially for people that watch the show, that kind of get the sense of relatability, to feel like you're alone or you need to be alone, but then you find that one person that you can relate to and feel close to. And that was like this whole episode. Huntress Wizard basically showing her loyalty to Finn by going back to the bush and getting the sample so she can help Finn, because right now he's poisoned from that bush and he's not doing well at all. The episode also makes a switch after the training montage where we see Fiona and the gang trying to break back into the spot. They run into Cairo Siphon. He's defending the spot for Queenie, trying to make some money. And that was basically that plot point of this episode. Fiona, Cake, the whole gang trying to get back into the spot, trying to figure things out. And I want to mention that I kind of really liked how practical Fiona was being in this episode. Cake, her ego, her pride was kind of hurt when she tried to fight Cairo Siphon, and he kind of had to put her down. And Cake is like stewing and she's going crazy. They're at the bar, they're hanging out, they kind of reeling from their loss, and Cake's ready to get back into the action, and Fiona has to tell her, this is a fire god we're dealing with. You can't just rush in and try to get your revenge or try to get your win back. We have to be practical about this. And Fiona actually comes up with another plan that involves the Peppermint Butler tank. And it was funny to me because they're going to bum rush this place with a tank, and you think it's going to be like this whole huge battle. And it ends up being, they see a sign right outside the gate that basically explains this property's for sale. And Fiona, kind of, again, being practical, just says to herself and says to the gang, we're just going to buy the place. Like, the more practical, reasonable option here is just to buy the place and get ownership of it. So I thought that was pretty funny and interesting to see Fiona being more practical and even mentioning, savings and all this adult stuff that you wouldn't expect to see in Adventure Time. But there it was. And probably my favorite part, there was two different parts of this episode that I would consider to be my favorite. And a lot of it has to do with the animation. The fight between Witch Wizard and Huntress Wizard, beautiful stuff. But I knew it was going to be a big thing from last week when we saw the bear Witch Wizard shapeshifted, that bear's wizard shapeshifted into an animal. I knew as soon as that moment happened, when the bear creeped up behind Huntress, that it was going to be a big fight and the animation was going to be gorgeous. And it was. And Huntress Wizard ends up getting the better of Witch Wizard, who Witch Wizard obviously doesn't like her, but that's doesn't matter because Huntress Wizard wins and she goes to get the sample from the bush. And she actually causes this ripple effect where the rest of the Green Wizards sense that there's something wrong. So they all show up and it looks like they lost their powers. I guess Huntress Wizard interfering with that magic bush, whatever it is, that ends up actually popping out from the ground and it looks like a deer. It's a lot of confusing stuff. Especially when Huntress gets dragged into like this portal by the bush. And it's very trippy stuff. The animation, like I said, it was gorgeous. It was so fluid. And I love the art style. I love the colors. But it was like a very trippy scene that I'm really trying to understand to this point. And I watched this episode since it aired about 3 or 4 times. I kid you not. I watched it about 4 times, 3 times alone and once with my brothers. So 4 times to try to understand what I was watching with the Huntress Wizard plot line, where she's in this universe and the seeds are dropping and the seeds end up flying to a whole bunch of different places around the land of Oo and the different worlds. And Huntress hears this voice inside the bush that tells her to basically make a decision on where you want to grow. And it's almost like Huntress Wizard is kind of being reborn, and she has to like listen to her heart. You know, it might sound a little cheesy, but it's pretty much her listening to her heart and her soul, and really meditating and kind of figuring out where she needs to land in order to save Finn. And she ends up finding Fiona's place. She ends up getting into Fiona's place where the seed landed, and she drops into one of Fiona's plants, and it looks like she's getting ready to grow. And I guess that's going to be the catalyst for Huntress Wizard meeting Fiona and whatever that plotline is going to lead to, which is going to be an epic moment. I mean, there's a couple of moments that we're all waiting for. We're all waiting for the inevitable meetup between Fiona and Finn, but we're also waiting for the meetup between Witch Wizard or Huntress Wizard and Fiona. That's going to be all epic stuff. Another scene that I really want to point out as being one of my favorite in the episode, and just for like the mood, it really was the mood and the art style. But when Finn and Huntress, they're laying in a field, just having a good time, you know, just one of those moments where you're with someone that you're comfortable with in this beautiful area, relaxing. And Finn kind of says something pretty interesting. You know, he kind of says like he's going to die or he's ready to die. And Huntress responds with, "That's kind of a bummer because you're going to forget about me." And he tells her, "Never, never." And it was just a beautiful, somber moment. And moments like that is what really drives this series for me. Like the animation, the music, the ambiance, just the vibes. I love the way they're taking that. But yeah, after that fight between Witch Wizard and Huntress, the trippy animation with the bush, the Fiona and Cake trying to break back into the spot, and the seeds landing all over Oo, and that mysterious voice that Huntress heard that kind of led her to going to Fiona's place and planting that seed and getting ready for her rebirth. At least that's what it seems like, in my opinion. What was your favorite part of this episode? There's so many theories to get into. I again want to mention the Finn and Huntress storyline that's developing throughout this season. I mean, that is probably going to be one of my favorite storylines of this season, of the entire series, because I just love the vibe that it's giving right now. I love that Finn is kind of content. You know, he's lost so much and he's been through so much. Our boy's been through so much. And Huntress has obviously been through a lot as well. So seeing them connect, and hopefully Finn can get better soon and we can see them team up together. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on this episode, and I'll see you guys in the next review. Thanks for watching.